One of my all-time favorite fictional characters, if not my favorite fictional character, is Robin Hood. Since I was a child and to this day, the story, the legend of Robin Hood has inspired me, and it's always been I don't know, it's just something about Robin Hood has always captured my attention. I've always loved the character, the story, the good versus bad, the love story of Robin and Marian, and there's just something about it that's timeless and classic. And there have been several films throughout the history of films that have been made telling the story of Robin Hood, and each one tends to bring their own take to the story, their own version to the story. And today I'm going to rate my top 5 versions of Robin Hood. Not every version I have seen has been that great. I've watched a lot. I kid you not, I love the story of Robin Hood. I've read several versions, seen several versions of the films, and I love the fact that people can take this story and make something of it of their own, but it doesn't always work out. But these are my top 5 Robin Hood films. Coming in at number 5 would be Robin Hood Men in Tights, starring Cary Elwes as the fabled hero. Men in Tights is, if you haven't seen it, it's a spoof on the Robin Hood movies, such as the ones with Errol Flynn and Kevin Costner. And it's just a fun Mel Brooks movie. If you know who Mel Brooks is, you know that he's a comedic genius. He's very good at taking from other stories and making his own comedic twist on them. He's created Spaceballs and Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein or Frankenstein. And so when you watch Robin Hood Men in Tights, you know it's a silly movie. It's not meant to be taken seriously, and the actors seem to be having a good time portraying these characters that they are. And so I put it at number 5 just because it's a good laugh. You can still enjoy it. It's still Robin Hood, but it doesn't have quite the intensity or of what I'm looking for in other Robin Hood movies, but it's still a fun film to watch. Coming in at number 4 would be Disney's Robin Hood. Prince John, the phony King of England. You just can't go wrong with the fox and a bear being best friends and robbing from the rich and giving from the poor, which is what Disney gave to us. I mean, how cool is that? A talking fox? And, I mean, you got Little John, who's basically blue. I mean, it's voiced by the same character, same actor, Phil Harris, but you know, he brings his own grooviness to it. And this one, again, it's kind of like Men in Tights. It's just a fun movie. It's a fun version of Robin Hood that kids can watch and adults can still be entertained. I loved this one as a kid, and I still love it today. Too late to be known as John the First. Too sure to be known as John the Worst. A pox on the phony King of England. And that's all I got to say about that fox of Robin Hood. Aha! Anyways, on to the next one. Coming in at number 3. My number 3, number 2, it was kind of a toss-up because there's certain things I like about both of them. But so these two might intermingle, but my number 3, I'm going to put The Adventures of Robin Hood starring Errol Flynn. This was the movie that continued, I was about to say that made Errol Flynn a star, but that would have been Captain Blood, and this is the movie that just propelled his career. Errol Flynn is a phenomenal actor. I enjoy his films. I've talked about one of them on here before, The Seahawk. He's a swashbuckling action hero from the golden age of Hollywood. And his version of Robin Hood is fun. What's great about it is it sticks to the storybook format. Is we have a bunch of different collection of Robin Hood stories that are well known, that we love, and they're kind of just put into one story. And so, I mean, we have the archery contest where he splits an arrow in half. You know, we have him rescuing Marion from the bad guys. We have him robbing from the rich, giving from the poor. It was the perfect, let's take the legends, let's take the story itself and make a film out of it. And they did a great job with it. You gotta love the costumery in it. They got their tight spandex on and their very bright colors for the woodsmen. It's a wonderful film, especially for the time it was made, and the sword fights are awesome. Robin vs. Sir Guy of Gisborne at the very end is a classic sword fight that's referenced and talked about to this day still. So, coming in at number 2, and again, this could be, these 2 and 3 can be swapped, but it would be Robin Hood, starring Russell Crowe as our famous character. What put this one just a little bit above that was, I like that it was an origin story of Robin Hood. I guess we didn't really need an origin story of Robin Hood, but it gave us one, and it did a good job at giving us one. And Russell Crowe did a great job at portraying Robin Hood. We see him coming home from the Crusades. We see him in the Crusades and coming home to a land that's completely destroyed and standing up. What makes it an origin story and what makes it unique is he's not officially an outlaw until the end of the movie. You know, in all the other versions of Robin Hood, we see him become the outlaw and living life as an outlaw, whereas this is at the very end. Him and Prince John actually team up together to prevent the French from invading England. And so I liked, again, that they took their own take on the story, on the legend, and they brought us what the origin story would be. Coming in at number 1, and this is one of my all-time favorite movies, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, starring the legendary Kevin Costner. Now, a lot of people complain that Kevin Costner didn't have a British accent, and, you know, they say this film it's got the 90s cheese to it. I could care less what you have to say about this movie. This movie is perfect. I love Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Did Kevin Costner have an accent? At moments he threw it in there, but nonetheless, I thought he was great as Robin Hood. He did a good job. I've always loved Kevin Costner as Robin Hood. He's the number 1 actor to play Robin Hood, or actor who's played Robin Hood. You can argue with me. I'd love to hear your comments, but yeah, I think Kevin Costner nailed it. The movie is just, I love, again, the whole take on it. We're going to give you Robin Hood, but we're going to give you Robin Hood like you've never seen it before, and they really did. We have Alan Rickman playing the wonderful Sheriff George of Nottingham. If you didn't catch that, yes, his name is George. It's mentioned at the scene where he's getting married to Marion, and Robin Hood rescues them. There's so many great scenes in this movie, and the soundtrack is, I mean, the soundtrack is used a lot. It's a great score, but the location, the scenery, the characters, I love the romance between Kevin from Robin Hood and Maid Marian. It's so wonderful, and I love this scene. This is one of my favorite scenes of the whole movie. Spoilers, where they're rescuing Marian, and she's in the castle. They can't get over it, and so they sit down. Robin has a catapult brought close to the wall, and he sits down on it. And Azim, played by Morgan Freeman, yeah, Morgan Freeman's in it, woohoo, sits down next to him, and he says, "Is she worth it?" And Robin looks at her and he goes, "Worth dying for?" And he smiles and shakes his head, and then they catapult over the wall. I mean, how romantic! You just can't get better than that, can ya? So, yeah, Prince of Thieves. It is the best Robin Hood movie. I love it. Everything about it. So, there you have it. That is my ranking of the Robin Hood movies. It is a story that has been told for years, for generations, and it is a story that we will continue to see. We saw a version 2-3 years ago. Wasn't very good. But it just shows that the story continues to be told and will continue to be retold. So I would love to hear your rankings of the Robin Hood movies, or where you would put them. If you think Errol Flynn's The Adventure of Robin Hood's #1, it's a great movie, and I'd love to hear I'd love to hear why you think that. If you think that Men in Tights is #1, tell me. If you think that Prince of Thieves isn't as wonderful as I think it is, you can tell me. I'm going to completely disagree with you, but I would love to hear it. So, anyways, I appreciate you watching today, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful time, day, wherever you're doing. Hope you enjoy it. Take care.